So when you go on your travels, when you go on your holidays, it's always nice, isn't it, to have a look around the local area, to see the local customs, to visit some of the historic buildings. Yes, unless of course you find yourself in Innsmouth. And one historic building you certainly don't want to find yourself in is the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Hi, and thanks for joining me today on the second of our Innsmouth builds. Today we're looking at the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Now, Innsmouth was the creation of the weird fiction author H.P. Lovecraft, and it was a New England seaport, a very old and decaying seaport that hid a dark secret. And in what many people call the best Lovecraft story, or certainly one of their favourite stories, The Shadow over Innsmouth, we learn what that secret is. Basically, in that story, a guy who's researching into family history and genealogy goes to Innsmouth as part of his research, finds he has a little bit of trouble getting out of Innsmouth, and various things happen. I won't give away the ending, I won't give away any spoilers, though I will be mentioning one of the secrets of Innsmouth at the end of this. Lovecraft gives a typically vivid description of the town, very atmospheric, and one of the buildings he mentions is the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Now, in the story, this was formerly a Masonic building that has been repurposed as a temple by a particular group of worshippers, let's call them. We have the Innsmouth Literary Festival coming up in just a few weeks' time. That's a day celebrating weird fiction held here in Bedford. We've got authors, we've got traders, we've got a games room, we've got RPGs going on, and we've also got a couple of display and demonstration games from Bedford Gladiators, and Mark is going to be running a game called The Battle for Innsmouth. So this is a game where the forces of good come into Innsmouth to try and neutralise the threat and to try and stop the Dagon ritual. So, of course, we need Innsmouth on a tabletop. As part of that, I've been making a few buildings. Mark's been making a few buildings. He's got a lovely lighthouse, tons of figures that he's going to be using. But of course, we need an Esoteric Order of Dagon. So, last time you will have seen how I put this together. What we're going to look at today is the painting and adding some finishing touches to that building. Just one thing I want to mention is in the original story, as I said, the EOD was formerly a Masonic building. I'm not sure if Lovecraft gives a totally full description, but I'm sure his readers at the time in the 1920s would have been aware of what a Masonic building looks like. I think there's quite a few of them throughout New England. I've not been able to find something totally the same as I mentioned. This is actually a library, an MDF library. I'll put the manufacturer link down below, but it's going to serve. The thing is with Innsmouth is it's all a little bit fluid. You know, in fact, the game itself is going to have some surprise elements in it that aren't in the original story. It's actually set a few years before The Shadow over Innsmouth. Oh, and the background music you're going to hear today, that's a track called Innsmouth Church, and that's from one of my Lovecraftian soundscape albums. I think it's the album Ritual and Dream. Those are available for download. I'll put the link in the show notes. So we're going to start with some airbrushing. Let's see how it goes. This is the airbrush I'm using. It's an Iwata Eclipse, and I bought this probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I got it as part of a good deal. It's had a reasonable amount of use. Most of the time I was using this was for my 1/35 models, but also for some scenery and terrain as well. And as part of the deal, it came with its own compressor. This is the Sprint Jet. Very heavy. But the first time I got an airbrush, I was using cans of compressed air with it, which works out quite expensive in the long run and not really as effective. So this works really well in giving you a smooth, even flow of air. And the other thing that came as part of that package was this spray booth as well. Of course, if you're working any type of spray, you need to have good ventilation. And what this does is you plug it in and it draws all the fumes through the filter at the back there. And it just keeps the paint contained, if you like. Deals with the fumes safely. It also came with this nice little turntable as well, because of course you want to be spraying from every angle. So I've not used this airbrush for a while, so I might be a little bit rusty in that. What I'm going to do now is get all this set up, get the paint put in the brush, get our temple in place there, and start to give it its first coat of spray. So that's all my spraying done. I'm quite pleased with how that came out, and also quite pleased that despite having not used it for quite a while now, I got to grips with the airbrush pretty quick. One thing I did find was that my older paints that I put in, some of my old sort of coat d'arms paints and that kind of thing, they really clogged it up very quickly, even though I was using flow improver and that kind of stuff. And I had to clean out and go back to using the newer paints, the Vallejos and the Army Painters. And the one that I think worked best, I was really pleased with, was this D&D Mouldy Wash. Now, because obviously it's a wash, it's quite a thin paint, I did use pretty much the whole bottle of what I had left of it. But it does give this nice greeny sort of Innsmouth tinge, I think, to the building. So I'm pleased with that. What I'm going to do now is use, I've got a range of browns here, Satchel Brown, Wood Grain, Model Colour. This is a new paint that I'm using. Well, it's Vallejo as well, but it's their Model Colour range. So I'm going to start doing the doors and the window sills, the sort of skylights on the roof, that kind of stuff. I've got a nice metallic sort of copper or bronze, oh it's actually bronze, that I'd like to use somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I feel it should have some bronze on it somewhere. And then I'll do a bit of highlighting. Want to add in a little bit of detail as well here and there. For the windows, because I can take the roof off of this, I'm going to see if I can find some clear plastic to put inside for the windows, and then maybe make those nice and dusty to give it that sort of slightly derelict look. The other thing I want to do, in the original story, of course, as I mentioned, there was a sign above the door, Esoteric Order of Dagon. That was sort of a faded black sign with gold lettering on it. I think I'm going to have problems printing that out on my standard inkjet printer. So I might do a sort of faded or dirty white sign with red or green lettering or something else. And of course, with the printer, I can use a nice font to do that. So we'll get that fixed on there a bit later on as well. Okay, so it's back to the hairbrush rather than the airbrush. Let's get going. that's our main painting done, and I'm pleased with how that's come out. That's a suitably Innsmouthy look. So maybe a little bit more to do on that, perhaps some extra highlights and a little bit of shading here and there, but that's the bulk of that done. So the next thing I want to look at is getting the sign on the front here. In the story, the building has a black sign with gold letters saying the Esoteric Order of Dagon. So I've had to go on the printer and tried a few things. I think this one actually looks best. That's a very nice font. Maybe not sort of realistic. I mean, this one is probably more realistic sort of font. But I think that, you know, that really says Innsmouth, doesn't it? Now, with the printer, it's just an inkjet, and this is just your normal paper. I might have been better off doing this perhaps on a better grade of paper, but time is against me at the moment. So I'm going to work with this. I think what I'm going to do is cut this out and stick it onto a backing. Then I shall stick that whole thing on here. I might make an edging for the sort of frame of the sign as well, if I've got enough bits and pieces to do that. So that's the next job. So I think I may have already mentioned that I wanted to put some windows in as well. We've got all these to do on the roof, and of course we've got a number of windows on each side as well. I thought it'd be nice just to have something in those. So I've had a look around, and I found deep in the depths of the box quite a number of packets of, I think these are model railway scenic stuff really. OO Scenic series. I've got cobblestones, some cobblestone walling and various other bits and pieces. I think I probably got these, they were perhaps on offer somewhere. And the nice thing is, I don't know if you can really see it, the plastic is quite yellowed. I don't know if that's with age, because I've had these for a while. And also, consequently, it's very dusty as well. So I don't really need to do anything to it, hopefully. What I'm going to do then is cut out some shapes here and stick those on the inside to make our glass. Yeah, that plastic, that yellowed old plastic has worked very nicely. I don't know if you can see that there, but we've got clear windows, but with that yellowish tint. So they are looking a bit grubby and grimy. And also some of the other ones, I've put in some little broken bits as well. Because, you know, you can imagine how difficult it must be to get a window cleaner in Innsmouth, right? Couple of things left to do then. Obviously I've got to finish this sign off. I think what I'm going to do is spray this with matte varnish first and then paint over the wood and give the sign itself a wash. Obviously if I put a wash straight onto that paper, then that's not going to work out too well. There's our sign all finished, and as you can see I've also put some sort of scatter around as well, some moss and some leaves, just to make the place look even more run down. I've particularly done that on the roof because I figure, you know, that sort of flat roof, if it's not well maintained, which nothing is in Innsmouth, then it tends to attract a lot of that sort of thing. There we go then. That's our Esoteric Order of Dagon, Bedford style. And yeah, I'm pleased with the way that's come out. There is one thing I'm going to add to it. I've ordered up on Etsy sort of a little Cthulhu idol on a plinth. I thought that would look really great just sat out at the front there, or I don't know, maybe I'll put it up here. I don't know yet. I'll know when I get it. So that should be arriving in a couple of weeks. I'll get that suitably painted up and weathered, and I'll add that to the finished building. Of course, if you want to see the whole thing, the whole layout, if you can make it along to the ILF, we'd be very happy to see you there. You get to experience a little bit of Innsmouth, but with the advantage of being able to leave at the end of the day. Thanks for watching. As always, please do keep your comments, questions and suggestions coming in. Thanks to everyone who subscribed, by the way. We've had a new batch of subscribers this month. I hope you're enjoying the channel. Please do let me know. And if you've got any examples of EOD that you've built, or if you think there are any places in the UK that are particularly Innsmouthian, I'd like to hear about them. I'm always interested in going and having a look at that type of place. Dunwich, of course, is a great example, and there's one or two other places right out on the east coast that are a pretty good fit for a real life Innsmouth as well. Ah, and that big secret. Well, let me just leave you with this thought. Innsmouth isn't just a place, it's a state of mind.